Hey guys, right now I'm going to show you how to go from beginner to your first automation in just one YouTube video. This is a super simple email reminder system just for you personally so that you can just use on a frequent basis. So how I have it right now in my Google Sheet, since you only need one Google Sheet for this, I have Canva and CapCut, and I have these trial end dates. So I'm going to be charged on the 26th, and then I'm going to be charged on December 13th. So we use this for the GPT to understand. So I don't want to get too technical into this, but essentially our first module is Google Sheets search rows. So essentially what this does is as you are going to use your spreadsheet ID, which is going to be called the email reminder triggers, which is, you can see the same exact name as this Google Sheet. So you just create a new one, create a new sheet, name it something, and then you're going to look up in the module Google Sheets search rows, and then you're going to find this one. You're going to put this one as your first trigger, and then you can see the triggers over here as well. So it's going to be your first one. The trigger module is always the first one. So you're going to want to do sheet one, and then for the filter I have status active, so equal to active. So essentially what this means is it's going to analyze this column and is going to see if all of these equal active, and if they don't, if it says like denied or anything, or if it says anything other than active, it's not going to include this row. So let's say I put this to deactive, right? So now it's not going to include this row within the next automation. Now that we search the rows, essentially what this does is it's going to retrieve all the given rows that are active in between this, right? So it's going to pull these two rows, the Canva, the CapCut, and then the information in these trial end dates, right? So then I have a generate a completion module from OpenAI, and you can choose any model you want, any cheaper one, but you can just use GPT-5 mini. And then here you go to your messages here, and you can have you create your role, which is a developer system. And then this is where you give it a system prompt where you're going to tell it to output a JSON to determine if the trial ends within 3 days or less, right? And this will just output a JSON that we're going to use later in a filter, which is going to be reminder yes or no. And then the user message here, which is where we input the data for this OpenAI module to actually work, we're going to do user, which is essentially sending it information. You're essentially talking to the AI itself. So imagine this is you, and then you're going to want to just input, your information, your dialogue, whatever, right? So then right now we're giving it information. Today's date, which is now, and now I got from this calendar here, date and time, which is a make.com function that they already have on there. So we put in today's date, which is now, and then the trial end date, which is this variable, which these green things are variables. And what this essentially is it brings over the information found from the trial end date in the first row. So essentially what it's doing is going to the first automation is going to grab the first row here, right? So then this trial end date is now this, December 13, 2025. So then this says December 13, 2025, essentially. And then obviously the next row automation is going to be this one, of course. So then the next row obviously is going to display this part as well. So then you obviously have the service name too as well, which the service name there, it's going to grab from here. So it's either going to say Canva or CapCut. And then is the trial ending within 3 days or less? So this is essentially just going to output a yes or no. And then we're going to use that yes or no. And then you're going to want to do, actually you're going to want to also do response format, JSON object, so that we can parse this because you're going to want to parse it. It makes it easier for you to handle and move information around. And then 500 tokens is fine, and then the temperature 0.2 is fine. You can save this, and here's the filter that we use, and then this is going to be reminder equal to yes. So essentially, this output from this module, this GPT, we're using the output from this. We're taking the JSON the reminder JSON that it's outputting, and it must equal to yes. And if it says no, it's not going to go through this filter, and then it's not going to email you here. So it's not going to be able to go to this email module. But if it says yes, then it's going to go over to the next one. So if it says no, it won't go through. If it says yes, it'll go through. That's all a filter does. Super simple. And then here, you have your email module where you just click add new module and then search up email, send an email, click on that one, put your personal email address to the to array. So we're going to be sending the email to this guy. And then the subject content type, you're going to want to do, it doesn't really matter, plain text or HTML. And then the content, which is going to be the email body, which you can input the variables from here from the Google search rows, so that you can grab that information from there, and then you'll see all the dynamic information saying, oh, CapCut is about to charge you, make sure you cancel it. Simple, right? And then that is about it for this. You can see you basically just have to learn how variables work. These little green things are called variables, which essentially they bring information over from a past module. So just like how we use the variable in here, it's only functional because before it, we're using the variable from here to decide whether to keep on going forward. And it's not going to work the other way around. So let's say you want to use the variable from here into this filter. It's not going to make sense because an automation only goes forward, not backward. So you're not going to be able to see a variable from here to here, right? So if I had to put an email variable in here, it's not going to work. You can only do it ahead of itself. So an email variable can only be pushed forward. And then you can kind of see how simple this is. It's only 3 modules. That's all you need. And this can really get you into a good mindset of, make.com and how to really build and understand these automations from a simplistic standpoint. So if you got value from this video, please like and subscribe and leave a comment of what you thought about it as well. Maybe leave some questions if you have any. And I appreciate you guys for watching. Have a good day.